Who did you not have today available for practice?
Well, when we did the full court work, we didn't have Josh Hart. He did all of the half court work, which was extensive, but he didn't do the full court work. And then Willie Hernan Gomez still has work visa, and so we 17 included Josh, actually, the part he did. So we had 16 for the full court part, but Willie Hernan Gomez, Will Magnay is not here from Australia yet, and Najee Marshall who's another two-way guy, is coming in tomorrow, but has not been here. So yeah, we had some people who couldn't work.
Hey, Coach, this is Fletcher from NBC in New Orleans. I'm sure you may have seen J.J. Redick's colorful comments about your training camps and your drill work. How important is it for you to maybe set that tone of what you want, how you do it from day one? Is that an emphasis starting today, or I guess just kind of following up on his comments?
Yeah, I mean, it was funny what he said. I thought I got a kick out of it, to be quite honest. It's and it's a lot different. I mean, the first training camp I went through with JJ was 13 years ago. So he was a young dude then. Now he's an old guy. It doesn't take long in this business for that to happen. But yeah, of course, I think everybody day one, you want to set the tone, whatever your tone is that you want to set. And for us, it was to put the defense first and foremost. I generally actually like to get some offense in so we can play a little bit more organized basketball and play our defense against that. But I thought it was important this year, me coming in new, that we went right to the priority first. And I didn't want to be out there walking through a lot of offense and things like that on day one. We'll start on that tomorrow morning. But today we just wanted to get a defensive mentality, get an idea of how we wanted to play on the defensive end of the floor. We didn't get a ton of that in even, but we got some of it in.
Hey, Stan, Scott Kushner with the Picayune. I know it's just one practice and not even necessarily talking about what you saw on the court today. But what have been your impressions of Zion, just getting to know him, being around him? What is kind of, is anything taking you by surprise? Or is this someone that it's basically, someone who is going to be very important to what you guys are doing? Is it everything that you kind of expected?
Yeah, well, I've really enjoyed talking to him, over the last, 6 weeks or whatever, 7 weeks, getting to know him. He's clearly a very intelligent guy. And I've enjoyed talking to him both about himself and his game and the team. He's had some really positive things here right off the bat. I mean, he's got no limitations in practice, so that's a good thing. He passed his conditioning test easily, which was a good thing. We had him do some running, 3-minute run on the court. Everybody passed it. He passed his very easily. He and Nikhil probably did theirs the easiest. I don't mean easy, but exceeded their goal by the most. So that was really good. And then I thought in practice today, he gave really, really good effort, as did everybody on the defensive work. So it's all been positive so far.
Coach, this is David Grubb from thebirdrights.com. One of the things JJ also said about this team was it was one of the quietest teams he had ever been on last season. When you're stressing defense and communication is such an integral part of that, did you notice that this team was communicating better as you instructed? And who led that trying to just get guys to be vocal on the court today?
I thought everybody made an effort at it, David, but it's got to get a lot better, even from what went today. It certainly is quiet. Now, to be fair, when you're doing stuff that's new, you're not as comfortable. It's a little hard to communicate. So we'll have to see where we get to. But certainly something that needs to improve a great deal is the communication. I thought it got better as practice went on. And we'll just have to continue to work at it as we go.
Hey, Stan, this is Christian Clark again. I was just wondering, the new members of the Pelicans coaching staff, if you could just take a second and just kind of, talk about what you think, they bring to the table and kind of, what we can expect from the new members, but not necessarily the holdovers.
Yeah. So Bob Byers, a guy that I've worked with for the longest, he and I, we both went to college in Western New York and then went into coaching in the Northeast. Started with small college coaching and worked up. So we ran in the same circles from the early 80s on. We worked together for the first time at the University of Wisconsin. So early 90s. So, and then he worked with me all 5 years in Orlando, 4 years in Detroit, and now here. So we've worked together for a long time. And as I said to the team yesterday, I've worked with a lot of really good coaches, in this league too. Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra and Steve Clifford and Brendan Malone and, on and on and on with really good coaches. And he's as good as anybody I've ever worked with. He's as good a teacher and as good a coach as there is anywhere. So there was never a doubt in my mind that I wanted to have him with me. Rex Walters, I've known since he was a player for the Heat and I was an assistant coach. And, he was one of the most competitive people that I'd ever been around. I mean, you play 3-on-3 after practice and it was the NBA finals. I mean, he just really competitive guy. And then I was, he's been at this a long time in coaching, 10 years as a Division I head coach, and has really, really worked at it, takes it seriously. So that was important to me. Casey Hill, I had people, I didn't know Casey. I had people recommend him to me. I knew how good a coach his dad was. And a lot of people, both in the Clippers organization and other people, just said, hey, this guy's really, really good, really, really smart. And then when I interviewed him, just the way he processes the game and the way he thinks about the game, particularly at the offensive end of the floor, I thought would be really, really helpful. I really wanted another person that had some different offensive ideas and things. And I certainly think he brings that. Plus, obviously my own situation growing up as a coach's son and being around the game, I tend to be partial to those people anyway. And Casey, as I said to our team yesterday, has literally been around the NBA his entire life. I mean, he's grown up in this, and I think there's an advantage there. And then Beno and Corey are both, two 13-year NBA veterans. Beno, I coached for a year in Detroit. Really smart basketball player, who became a very good NBA player because of his skills and his smarts. I mean, not the most athletic guy, not real big, but just really knows how to play the point guard position. He has really worked at the coaching part of it. I've stayed in touch with him. He's always, since he's gotten out the last 2 years, really worked at it. Got a chance to be a G League assistant second half of last year, but right before we shut it down. But he lived 3,000 miles from his wife and infant son because he just wanted to coach. So put that with his smarts and stuff, I knew he would be really good. And then Corey Brewer, it sort of took me by because he was just playing in the bubble just a couple months ago. This guy was playing, so I didn't know what his plans were. But when we had the opportunity, he was a guy I was really interested in. I know Billy Donovan pretty well, and Billy's spoken very highly of him since his days in college. And what he's always been is a great, great competitor and energy guy. And so one of the things we wanted to do was just put as many highly competitive people around our guys as we could. That's the other reason we wanted to elevate Teresa Weatherspoon. I mean, just these are some of the most competitive people that I know, and I wanted them around. And so I think Corey is a guy who everybody who coached him in his entire career loved him, loved what he brought on a daily basis, and I expect he'll bring that same kind of energy here.
What's up, Coach? This is Will from The Athletic again. Knowing how short this window is between the start of team activities to actually playing against other teams, do you change the way you structure some of these practices or how much you try to put in? I guess, what's your approach just during this shortened preseason?
Yeah, that's a great question, Will. And it's hard. I mean, it really is, because you've got to be ready to play early and you want to get everything in. But I'm also new, and we've got a lot of young players, and I don't want to try to build the house so quickly and be in such a rush that I don't put a foundation in. I can get the house up a lot quicker if I don't do any of that, but I just think it would be a mistake in the long run. So while we'll try to speed up and get as much in as we can, like today, I didn't get through my practice plan. I didn't get to the 5-on-5 pick and roll stuff. I didn't. We went longer on the other stuff, but we will try to speed up, but there's just, you don't want to skip important stuff either. So we'll be ready to go on the 23rd when we play. We may not have everything in our bag that we want to have at that point, but we'll be ready, and we'll try to be solid with what we do.
Coach David Grubb again. How do you balance the individual development of guys and what you saw from them as you were developing your plan for this team versus those team concepts that you want to see in place before the start of the season?
Well, I think, personally, David, I think they're one and the same, right? I mean, this is a team sport and a team game. And so developing players is about developing them to be able to play basketball with a team and win games. And so I think it's all one and the same. I mean, what we did today of all defense for 3 hours, that's player development to me. I mean, they're learning how to play at the defensive end of the floor. And tomorrow when we start putting in offensive concepts, I mean, that learning the game and everything is all part of this. So I don't see it as two separate things. I think that you coach your team, you coach everybody out there, and that is a huge part of player development. And then some of them will get extra work in and things, but everything you do is player development. Coaching is trying to make your players and your team better. That's simply what it is.
Great. Thank you very much, Coach.